You're listening to the Fan Club podcast, where two polar opposites discover each other's fandoms for the very first time. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Fan Club podcast. My name is Sarah.
This is Matthew.
And this is episode 30. And today we are covering the first two episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Which, coming right off of WandaVision, could not be a more different vibe.
Yeah. It is vastly different than WandaVision.
I think it was a little bit of whiplash, because WandaVision is not entirely, but somewhat comical in some ways.
Yeah.
And Falcon and the Winter Soldier is not. It has its moments.
It does have its moments. I do love all the interactions with Bucky and Falcon. They are they are hilarious. Even all the way back in Civil War.
Yeah.
Like with the whole car scene.
Like there's a little bit of a callback later in the series. I like this show. I like the central conflict. I think the central conflict is kind of interesting.
Because it does raise a good point though. Like even with today, with everyone that got displaced, how would people react when they came back?
But, and this is a big but, and I don't feel this way with WandaVision. I feel like WandaVision really, it suited the episodic tone and structure. I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier could have been a movie.
I don't think so, because they would have had to cut out most of the stuff in Mandapore. They would have had to cut out a lot of the extra stuff.
I don't know.
They would have had to cut out.
It felt slow in parts.
They probably would have had to cut out the entire because I don't think they would have been able to go as deep as they did with Bucky's backstory.
Yeah, I know.
They would not have been able to go as deep as with the Falcon's family issues or
It just, and that's not to say
or all the power broker stuff.
That's not to say I didn't like it, because I did like it, but it took me probably halfway through to actually be invested and want to finish it.
Because release order, it went Wanda, Falcon, Loki, and then I think it was Spider-Man, Far From Home.
Yeah.
And then it was Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Black Widow, and then the rest of them.
Yeah.
And so we sort of are watching a bunch. We're still watching them in order. It's just there was also a lot more time in between. It was like two or 3 months in between.
Maybe I would feel less so, because here's the thing. I really enjoyed the pacing of WandaVision and the way, and I feel like it's unfair to compare the two shows, but this is I'm literally coming right off of WandaVision, so it's kind of hard not to in my brain. And I think WandaVision had a really good pacing and a really good structure to it.
I mean, but also it relied on the sitcom tropes.
Yes,
which is why I think that would be better episodically.
Maybe it's just because I just felt like Falcon and the Winter Soldier dragged in parts, and then in some parts things were kind of rushed feeling.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, it's not to say I didn't like it. There are parts of this show that I wasn't a fan of, but overall, I did really like it. It was kind of the first 2 or 3 episodes, maybe even halfway through the fourth. I was a little worried that I wasn't
into it.
Into it.
But also, you never really liked Bucky or Falcon.
It's not that I didn't like them. I just don't like them as much as everybody else does.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people love Bucky, and it's not to say that I don't like him, but I told this to Matthew a couple of days ago. Again, this might be a hot take, but I am not sure about Falcon and Bucky as the leads in their own stories. I think I prefer them as sidekicks.
So, I mean, Falcon does become Captain America even in the comics for a while.
Yeah, the characters within the MCU, I think personally, in my own opinion, I think that they are better.
I don't think Bucky is going to have a big part in Captain America, the New World Order.
I think they're better sidekicks than leads.
Falcon is going to be the lead in that one because he is Captain America. But do you want to guess who his sidekick might be?
I literally have no idea.
Torres. Because in the comics, Torres became Falcon when Sam Wilson became Captain America.
So let's get into it. The first episode is called The New World Order.
Yes.
And it opens with Sam prepping for some kind of
Event.
event. And he has the shield because at the end of Endgame,
Yeah.
Cap gave the shield to him. Um, and then we go to we're basically flying over Tunisia. Um, and there's some kind of heist by the LAF, which is Bartok's
Yes.
guys, and they Falcon is like trying to save the soldiers and try to like
Because he is still part of the military.
yeah, I mean he's also still an Avenger.
That's the thing. I don't even know if the Avengers are still a thing. Because think about it. Thor's off world, Hulk's off world, Iron Man's dead, Captain America's dead, essentially.
Somewhere
Somewhere, Black Widow is dead, and Hawkeye's
with his family.
with his family. So are there still the Avengers? Because Wanda's off, Captain Marvel's off doing her thing, Doctor Strange is doing
Spider-Man's doing his
his own
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
So the Avengers aren't
People in
really,
Wakanda are doing their own thing.
yeah, because right now there's no Black Panther.
Hmm.
Or
I will say I don't like it gets better, but I don't love the editing in this scene. It felt really choppy, and it was kind of difficult to follow
but it
in some
was
moments.
I got the same feeling of that scene as in if you remember in Iron Man 1 when Iron Man was flying next to those F-22s.
Yeah, sure.
Because it was the same high level energy.
I don't love action scenes that are like cut, 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 cut. Like it's really distracting, and it's hard to know like what's going on.
I mean, you still know what's going on. He's still flying through
Yeah,
the air.
I
So
just
what do you,
I've established that my ADD makes it very hard for me to pay attention to things, and
yeah.
it was it was just difficult to understand the whole picture. I do, however, really like the soldiers' squirrel suits. Those were fun.
Hmm. You know those are real.
Yeah, I
I
know.
want one so bad.
There's a moment in which there's a soldier in a helicopter that's going down and Falcon flies into the helicopter like and he like grabs the guy and then flies out and he like saves the guy.
Yeah.
That was cool. I really liked that. So then we go to I think we're in Tunisia. Falcon Sam is having lunch with his buddy Torres.
Yeah. Who's trying to find the flag smashers?
Yeah, he tells him about the flag smashers, which are people who think the world was better during the blip,
Which that's an excellent
which is like the main central conflict of this
like
entire show.
I don't agree with what the flag smashers were doing
I kind of understand where they're coming from a little bit though.
because that's the thing. All the borders were open. There was no war. Poverty was down. People were helping each other rebuild. So, I mean, would it be a bad thing for. I'm saying the blip is a bad thing. What caused it is a bad thing. What I'm saying is
Well,
the outcome of said blip
because he
wasn't a bad thing.
everybody came back. Everybody who was blipped came
Back.
back, and I imagine it was very like
Jarring?
yeah, well, I mean, like they come back and somebody's living in their home and and to make things quote unquote right, and there's not I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to any of it. But, like a lot of people had been kicked out of their homes and lost their jobs and
Lost families,
yeah,
marriages.
and it's like I imagine, 5 years if like your spouse got blipped and you didn't, like
I would,
would you have gotten remarried?
yeah, because who knows what would have happened?
Yeah, I mean,
Because people were essentially told to move on with their life.
exactly.
As
So
we saw with at the beginning of Infinity War, when Captain America was talking to that small group, that I roasted that scene a ton because he was talking about Peggy and Bucky instead of Falcon and the other Avengers.
yeah,
And so he was telling people were told to move on with their lives because they didn't know if the blip was a permanent thing or if it was going to be a temporary thing. So I mean,
yeah.
If I got blipped, I would expect you to move on and vice versa.
I don't think that there's a right answer to any of it.
No, but
But it is an interesting. I don't agree. We'll get into it, but I don't agree with what they end up doing.
yeah, no, I
Um,
don't agree with that at all.
but I can sympathize in some ways.
Some people wanted things to go back the way they were before the blip, but if you make something go back to the way it was, if it didn't work, it's still not going to work. But one other thing, the Flag Smashers was an actual real supervillain that Cap fought during World War II in the comics. It is an actual real villain where I just had it pulled up. Flag Smasher is a supervillain who fights Captain America and is on a mission to liberate the Earth from national rule.
Yeah.
So kind of like, but wasn't that's the thing with the blip. They never really talked about it, which I wish we talked about a little bit more in Infinity War. Who was in charge?
Like the president,
But there was open
whoever's in charge
borders.
in government,
I mean, think about it. If our president got blipped and the vice president and a bunch of other people got blipped,
it
who
would all be
would?
chaotic, honestly.
Yes, but who would?
There has to be.
Or was it more of like a UN thing?
I'm not saying in our world because I don't think any of this is physically possible. Um, actually, no, I know it's not
I
physically
know, but
possible. But I'm just saying hypothetically, I feel like there would be
I mean,
things in place to kind of if something were to happen, if there
there is that designated survivor, which is a real thing.
well, yeah, like if they're like that's why like the president and the vice president, if there's a if
If there's like a nuclear war or something, they go separate
aren't they
places.
on separate planes when they go
Yes,
places
they're on separate planes.
in case one gets hijacked or whatever?
Yeah, because I know this is from a fictional show, but there's a show called Designated Survivor. I think it was on like
Is that what
ABC.
your mom got really into for a while?
Yes. But that is actually a real thing where one person from the cabinet will sit back in a bomb-proof bunker in case if all the other cabinet members and the president, vice president, everyone else in the presidential line gets attacked during like a speech or something, they're still the
Yeah,
designated survivor. So, or would it be more of like a UN thing? Because it was open borders. That's more than what one country can do. One country can't say, okay, the world has open borders now.
yeah.
But we also didn't know of the open borders thing in Infinity War.
We go to Washington
Sorry on my
D.C.
little tirade. It was just an interesting concept
We go
with the
to
ship of Theseus.
DC and Sam is speaking at the Smithsonian, which if anybody gets to go to DC and gets to go to the Smithsonian, it's amazing. Um, when I was a kid, we went to my aunt lives in Virginia Beach, so it's like not that far from DC. And we went to the Smithsonian solely because at that age I was obsessed with geodes.
Everyone at that age is obsessed with geodes.
And they have this giant amethyst.
Is it bigger than the one at Pro?
Yes.
Okay.
It's this huge amethyst. I don't I imagine they still have it. Um,
I mean, when something goes in the Smithsonian, I doubt it leaves.
but that's
Unless it
like
was like a special exhibit.
they even have like a whole like royal jewels section.
The night at the museum.
Really.
Are all three at the Smithsonian or is it just the third one?
I don't know. I have only seen the first one like once.
I think I've seen the first one like twice. Whoever knows that movie, message
So
me.
historically accurate.
No, I'm not saying for the historical accuracies. What I'm saying is, I don't remember if all three are in the Smithsonian or if it's just the third one.
It's a great museum.
I
I
want to
think
go.
other than the geode like diamond like the gemstone section,
But you know me, I
I don't
love
really
history.
remember it. I really liked the
It's great to go to, but I don't really remember it.
I remember that exhibit, but I was also 10 years old. That was 18 years ago. Um, I remember the was it the Air and Space Museum? I remember that one a lot more.
We have one here.
So yeah, speaking of the Smithsonian, he's like honoring Cap or honoring Steve. And he basically tells us it's been 6 months since Endgame happened.
Yes. Which is a great way to put the timeline.
Yeah,
So we know WandaVision is 3 weeks after, and we know Far From Home is 8 months after.
yeah. And he basically decides to return the shield to the museum.
So this takes place April of 23?
Well, because didn't somebody figure out that Endgame happened? Um,
No, they figured
October?
out October because of Far From Home.
Mm-hmm.
Because Betty said in Far From Home, it's been 8 months since we came back. And on graduation in New York, you graduate, I think, in July or leave school in July,
Most of the country goes earlier, but
May, July-ish,
June?
June. Sorry, yes, June,
I was like, July seems late.
June. I'm sorry, June. So people sort of just did the math, and school gets out in June, early June, late May, whatever.
Yeah.
And
So,
so
then
this is
we
what
go.
March, April,
Yeah.
would you say?
Then we go to. I. If there was a place card, I didn't write it down, so I apologize. We go to some hotel, and
Years ago,
this.
like
Well, we
decades
don't
ago.
know that this is a flashback at first.
True.
Um, or like a memory or a nightmare or anything. So we go to the beautiful hotel. I thought that the architecture in this hotel was really cool. And we see Bucky smashing through a wall, and he sees a guy trying to get inside a door, trying to get inside his hotel room.
Yeah.
And so he shoots him, and Bucky then wakes up from a nightmare.
Yeah. So, uh, this was another one of the Hydra or Winter Soldier kills.
He's in therapy as a part of his pardon.
Yes.
Um,
And so,
which I I'm sorry, forced therapy ain't gonna get anybody nowhere.
but it was either therapy or you go to jail
Fully get
for
that.
life.
I do, but I'm just saying forcing somebody to go through therapy is going to get you nowhere. The person is going to be super resistant. You're not going to solve any problems. Like it's not going to get you anywhere. I get where they were going with this, but it's like
I
you're
know,
you're not going to do anything.
but it,
He basically has this little book that his goal is to make amends with all of the people that all the families of people that he harmed as the Winter Soldier.
which is a lot.
And every week he goes to lunch with this old man.
Yeah.
Um, and we learn that this guy um, that he killed in the nightmare was this old man's son.
Yeah.
And it's actually like really sweet. Like he takes care of this old man and like he takes him to sushi every single day or every single week.
Yeah.
And they just have a really sweet relationship, but Bucky like cannot bring himself to tell him the truth.
And like the old dude and him they are actually like real friends and stuff like that where he's like the Asian dude is making fun of Bucky because Bucky has a thing for the waitress.
Hmm. Which is like it's so bizarre to me that I feel like they forget that Bucky is like 100.
No one else knows that
I know, but the writers don't treat him like he's.
because he's also. But that's the thing. He wasn't frozen for that long.
But like I would even have preferred if he like maybe made some comments about like liking old music
He does.
or like oh I played this music when I was a kid or
He does.
like I didn't notice that.
I mean, he did more like Winter Soldier or like in Civil War and stuff
I
like
feel like
that.
we've completely at this point in time completely forgotten that part of Bucky's character.
I mean, no, because that's also in the past. We're trying to move forward with his future story, not with the Winter
No,
Soldier.
I just
Because things have to move forward.
I get that, but it ruins all character consistency, is what I'm trying to say.
How did it ruin character consistency, though?
Because I get that his need to move forward,
Because he wants to
but
forget his past.
yeah, but his like childhood wasn't traumatic.
He doesn't remember any of it. He doesn't remember anything after becoming Winter Soldier.
No, I mean before that.
Yeah, he got brainwashed. He doesn't remember anything from before.
Okay, that makes far more sense then. I was not aware of that. I thought that there was a distinct before and after.
No, he doesn't. He remembers some stuff that he's been told and have some memories unlocked, but all of his core memories are Winter Soldier memories.
Because I even liked a couple of like the jokes about Cap, like, the list of things he wanted to experience.
I mean, Bucky did the same list. The book is Cap's book.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, you know how Buck or that Cap had that list
Yeah,
of
but Cap
movies and
also
things?
only lived in the past. Cap never moved forward.
Yeah, I just
What?
I would have preferred to have
I
just a
mean,
handful of references.
if he also does talk about how he read Lord of the Rings or Hobbit in 1943 when it came out,
I
and
I'm
other stuff like
I
that.
realized that I probably might have missed some.
Yeah.
I felt like sometimes it was a little bit inconsistent. I think sometimes the writers forgot. Then we go to Sam's sister. We go meet Sam's sister, whose name is Sarah.
Yeah.
And this is the one subplot of this show that I think I could have done without.
But it shows more on Sam's back character.
Yeah, I just I couldn't. This is gonna sound really mean. I could not bring myself to care about the boat.
Yeah, I'm the same way, but it shows that Sam's not only military. Military, military, military.
Yeah, no, I get it. With Bucky goes on a date with the waitress,
Yeah.
which is really sweet, which actually never comes back.
What?
It never comes back.
No, because he left halfway through.
Yeah,
Because she was talking about how family is important and how he misses his son or something.
yeah. And then we go to Switzerland, and things get chaotic really quickly, because the flag smashers come.
So Torres is tracking the flag smash. So the flag smashers are using an app to talk to each other.
Mhm.
And so Torres got the app
And
and is tracking them.
and
And we
Torres basically gets his face smashed in, and immediately I was like, I noticed there was something up, but they don't explicitly tell you that it's a super serum until a couple episodes later. Um,
I think I think Wilson calls it.
but I
Yeah, Wilson calls it because Wilson saw that dude just throw Torres like he was like made out of paper. So yeah, Sam calls it and then I think it's Bucky or something.
yeah. And then Sam and his sister are trying to find a loan for the boat. Again, I really don't care about the spotline. I don't really have much to say other than
But this is another great thing. You were dead for 5 years. You're not going to have credit history because you were.
they can't just give somebody money.
Yeah, so that's another great thing where I'm not saying great thing that they didn't help him. No, what I'm saying is it's another great explanation.
Explanation, exposition,
Yes, explanation.
exposition.
That word with things that happened during the blip. Like during the blip, people could take loans because there was an influx of but like there was an influx of money, there was everything, so people could get more help. But
Yeah,
we have 8 billion people, I think, at this point. So 4 billion people came back all of a sudden. Had no jobs, no ID, no houses, no cars, had nothing. So they had to change how loans work. But if you were dead, how would you get, like, for a loan? To get a house, you have to have last 2 years of work experience.
yeah,
You've been dead for five. So how, I don't know.
yeah.
But it is very interesting.
And then we meet John Walker, which is arguably my least favorite part of this entire show.
He's the least favorite part of the entire MCU for everyone. Thor Thor is, in my opinion, better than John Walker. I like Captain America or Captain Marvel more than I like John Walker.
It's funny because initially he just gave me weird vibes. And then as it went on, I was like, no, I hate him.
Like he tries to be a good dude.
Literally, my first note of the second episode is something about this off-brand Steve Rogers gives me the ick.
Is he the Wish brand? Is he the Wish Steve Rogers? For people who don't know what Wish is, it's
If
like
you don't know what Wish is, you might want to get out from under that rock.
it's like a third party
It's
knockoff
it's like
of everything.
it's like Amazon, but
Worse.
super 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 cheap, and it takes months to get to you.
Yes. Like I ordered something from Wish. I ordered a phone case from Wish. It was like one of those cool like heavy duty metal ones.
And it's also notorious
And it took
for
5 months to show up.
it's notorious for online shopping clickbait.
Yes.
Notorious.
Like they sell game consoles on Wish.
Yeah, they sell electronics that are straight up fake. If you ever get the product at all.
One of them said it had 3,000 games in it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So
Believe that.
episode 2 is called The Star Spangled Man, which I believe is the song in the first Captain America movie is the song that um they perform that USO show too when he's dancing with the girls. I believe the song is called Star Spangled Man.
Maybe.
Yeah. So I wrote down this off-brand Captain America or this off-brand Steve Rogers gives me the ick
Yeah.
because he does. He looks too much like Steve Rogers, but like not at all like him at all. I also figured out that that is and he's played by Wyatt Russell, who is Kurt Russell's son.
Yes.
Um and Kurt Russell has been Kurt Russell is massively famous, but Kurt Russell is he plays Ego in Guardians of the Galaxy too. Obviously, amongst other things, I don't think that that's the role that most people think of Kurt Russell in. I was just watching a video the other day of it might have been yesterday actually, of like celebrity doppelgangers, and I never realized how much Kurt Russell and Jeff Bridges look alike. So basically, they go. John Walker performs at I guess his high school.
Yeah.
This episode starts off with some fire marching band music.
Which that is the Star Spangled Man.
And this scene is so aggressively American. It is so peak American.
It's this for me is like you peaked in high school and you just lived.
Yeah, I got that feeling too. I didn't mention it because I didn't know if I was alone in that.
Because we all know people that peaked in high school.
Well, okay, so I was in color guard my freshman year of high school, and so like and both my brothers were in marching band at some point in time, so I grew up around marching band music, and so like I have a little bit of an affection for marching band music.
I could take it or leave it.
I think it's really fun when they do like pop culture references.
Like what every college does.
I think it's fun. Didn't you like that one that we saw on TikTok where it was like the Nintendo, not the Nintendo, the Nickelodeon theme songs? I can't remember which school it was,
It's
but it
all the
was
colleges do it.
there was one that did like a medley of Nickelodeon theme songs, like of the OG shows.
I mean, OG shows for us would be different for OG shows for someone else.
No, I mean like the SpongeBob and the Fairly Odd
Early
Parents.
2000s.
Yeah. So Bucky is watching the broadcasts of like these the Steve Rogers or Steve. I keep wanting to call him Steve Rogers. He is not my Steve Rogers. Not my Captain America.
The knockoff.
The Wish version. But yeah, and Sam and Bucky are mad because Steve would not have wanted this.
No, I blame Falcon 100%.
Well, yeah, he gave up the shield. Exactly what Steve didn't want him to do.
Yeah, he gave up the shield because he was like, "Oh, I thought I was doing what's right." No, you just were being a weakling and didn't want to step up.
And Bucky's really upset that Sam gave up the shield.
Yeah.
We learn that they refer to their enemies as the big three. It's either aliens, wizards, or is it aliens, wizards, or
Monsters.
monsters?
Is it monsters?
Is it monsters? Redwing traces the Flag Smashers to Munich, and they figure out they're stealing vaccines. Which this is an interesting subplot because you immediately, at first, think that the Flag Smashers are just like menaces. But you later figure out in the next episodes that
Androids, aliens, or wizards.
androids yeah, I guess, because
So Ultron, Thanos,
wizards,
Scarlet Witch.
I guess.
I mean, the entire world would have known what Wanda did by that point.
So I really like this initially because they think that they're just menaces, but you later figure out that they're stealing vaccines to like help these refugee camps, these like displaced refugee camps.
Which are the refugees? So the ones that came back, or the ones that got kicked out of their homes?
That's the question, isn't it?
Because they never said.
I think it's up for interpretation.
I would say it would be the ones that
was the one who didn't get blipped, or the ones that did.
No, because the ones that got blipped are the ones that the governments are helping.
Yeah,
to get their houses.
It's the people who aren't getting help.
I would revolt if I got a house and like someone came back like, "This house is mine." I'm like, "No, sorry, I bought it. Bugger off."
Like legalities to that.
No, legally they were dead. When you're dead, you lose all.
Yeah, I don't.
Because think about it, they were blipped. No one knew they would come back, right?
Yeah. So they basically go. They're in Munich. They figure out they're stealing the vaccines. The Flag Smashers capture Bucky and then break Red Wing, which hurt my heart. New Cap swoops in. These stunts are absolutely insane. They're like leaping from truck to truck. Like,
I mean, they do that in all the action movies.
I know, but it's like for some reason these are like crazy.
But I mean, they never really have had anything like this in MCU.
Yeah.
I mean, they did in in some of the X-Men's they have, like in some of the Wolverine lone movies they have.
And we learned that the Flag Smashers are super soldiers.
Yes, there are 7 more.
Yeah.
Super soldiers.
We meet basically.
So we see a whole interaction with the 4 of them.
Yeah, we basically meet Battlestar, who is
Dumbest name.
Who is John Walker's sidekick.
So pretty much his Falcon.
His
or his Bucky. His Bucky.
Yeah. I'm not gonna try to remember his name because it does not matter. And the Flag Smashers arrive at a shelter, and the shelter is basically there to like give them food and let them sleep in a safe area and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so Battlestar in the comics, Lamar was a professional wrestler who was given super strength by the Power Broker. So essentially, in the comics, he is Bane. Tell me I'm wrong. Bane.
I don't know enough about Bane other than the
we don't talk about
this.
We don't talk about Tom Hardy's. We don't talk about Tom Hardy's. I love Tom Hardy. He is freaking amazing, but we don't talk about his Bane. Oh, Darkus didn't corrupt you. Whatever, whatever, whatever. No, but Bane was a professional wrestler who got a serum put in him to make him much bigger. At least in the comics, not so much in the George Clooney Batman. He was like, I think, a druggie that someone pay like $50 to test on him. I think. Wow. In the George Clooney Batman with Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze.
Take your word for it. We go to Baltimore and we meet Isaiah.
Yes.
And you were saying he's like the Vietnam version of Cap. That's word for word what you told me to write down.
He kind of is. He was in the Vietnam War. He was also an experiment. The true Vietnam War Captain America is Punisher, but they haven't introduced the Punisher yet.
Yeah.
So
I don't think we learn Isaiah's like full backstory at this point in time.
No. We just know that he's a super soldier.
Yeah. And they basically arrest Bucky for missing his court-appointed therapy.
Even though they were coming to arrest Falcon first.
Yeah.
But everyone calls him the Black Falcon, which is funny because all the other black superheroes, the very few that there are, it's like Black Panther, Black Lightning. There was one more that I read, like Black Vulcan.
John Walker bails Bucky out. They have a mandatory couples counseling session.
No, so
Bucky and Sam.
He pardoned Bucky.
Yeah.
Of his crimes, so he doesn't have to go to therapy anymore.
Which I think was convenient for the plot.
But also to make them trust him.
I get it.
It's a great trust ploy.
This couples counseling scene was really funny, though.
Okay, you have to look in each other's eyes.
I don't know how these actors are keeping straight face.
Are you happy? It's their contest. Yes. Just blink already.
I couldn't do that with you. I think we both start laughing.
We're looking at each other now, and I'm just laughing.
Yep. And then they decide they need to go see who? Who do they need to go see, dear?
Oh, Zemo!
I like the actor who plays Zemo.
Yay! Baron Zemo! The dumbest villain of them all! Woo!
I don't mind him that much.
Okay, but... Okay. I know I call him the dumbest villain, but what he did was actually...
I feel like you say that every third episode.
No, but...
You said that with Killmonger. You said that with,
Killmonger
I'm pretty sure you said that with Marvel as well.
No, Marvel just wanted to control Captain Marvel. I don't mind that one. She needs to be controlled. She needs her powers in check.
I don't disagree with you.
No,
no. You said that for several villains, though. You don't like Mysterio. You think he's...
Oh, Mysterio is an absolute joke. His powers are illusions.
I thought it was dorky and funny.
I will show you some Mysterio stuff.
I think I've seen pictures of his comic book outfit, and it is
It's a
weird.
fishbowl on his head.
It's super dumb.
But
I think it could make a really
I have to admit,
it could make a really fun DIY Halloween costume.
a lot of people do. But I have to admit, out of any villain costume so far in the MCU, they did Mysterio's the best. But it's also Mysterio's is the lamest. It is a purple suit, shiny green cloak, and a fishbowl and gold gloves. And you have his costume. Can't really mess that up, now can you? No, but what Zemo did in Civil War was actually really, really smart. He destroyed the Avengers without ever laying a finger on them.
Yeah.
He literally destroyed
He's
them.
very diabolical.
He destroyed them from the inside out. But we learn more on why he did. Because we still don't know the full reason why. We know a part of it, but we don't know the full reason.
All right, so that is a wrap on episodes 1 and 2.
So far, what is your general not a general understanding,
I don't
but
think I was like I think I said this at the beginning. I don't think I was in with this show until probably halfway
like
through
5?
episode 4, at least. So far I like WandaVision so much more. But I think I don't know why I keep trying to compare them because they're so very different. But just consistency wise and content wise, I think I like it better.
they could have done WandaVision into a TV show or into a movie. They could have named these into a movie.
So much better is episodically. I think Falcon and Winter Soldier could have been a movie.
But they would have had to cut out all the Mandapore stuff. They would have had to cut out.
But yeah, so join us on Wednesday for our discussion on episode 3 and 4.
Yeah, so the next several TV shows will just be 3 times a week.
So it'll be Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
It was just Wanda had 9 episodes, and with how the show broke down, it made sense to do 5 just because
could have done
3. Because there's so much in episode 9.
That's true.
It would have made the last one be like an hour and a half long, 2 hours long.
So yeah, so join us on Wednesday for episode 2 of Falcon
and Winter Soldier for TV episode 3 and 4.
Yeah, I guess that is really confusing.
Episode 2 for
episode 3
of Falcon Week, but episode 3 and 4 of Falcon.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, we'll see you on Wednesday.
Bye.
If you'd like to send us any feedback or messages, you can follow us on Instagram at @fanclub_podcast, follow us on Twitter at @fanclub_podcast, and chat with us over on reddit.com/r/fanclubpodcast. And don't forget to tune in every Marvel Monday. See you next time. Bye.